But I'm an athlete, and I'm a darn good athlete. You know, I'm one of, like to say, I'm one of the best in the world, and I'm gonna brag about that at
Talk
my
about
age.
Talk about your weights. What you can do with movements.
When I set the world records when I was 62, right, I did a deadlift of 427 pounds, right.
This is the blind world records.
Yeah, the blind world records. At that age, the blind. When I went to the blind world.
So you set the blind world record for the first time. Second year in.
Yeah, 62.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Bench press, I did 302. Squat, I did 302. Yeah.
Is this all at 62?
At 62.
So you made 4 world records?
3 world records.
3 world records.
3 world records at 62.
Second year in.
Second year in.
Arvoyarns. We have a very special episode this week. Charles King.
Hello, everyone.
Joining us here. He's both blind and a powerlifter, and has an amazing life story.
Yes. Where should we start at?
Start wherever you want, but if you want to start like your life before you were blind, because you weren't always blind, and then you became blind, and then what was life after that, and I think that's probably a good place to start.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't born blind. I'm a native of Philadelphia. I had a regular school life. I went to Landers Elementary, then Tilden Junior High, then West Philadelphia High that I graduated from. Then after school, like everyone else, you're going to figure out what you're going to do with your life. So I got a job, receiving and shipping for this company called Cap Electronics. Right? Minimum wage at that time was $1.35 an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
We're talking about way back in the '60s. It eventually worked up to $2.50 an hour. But to make a long story short, in the beginning, my early years, I went from one job to another trying to find out what I wanted to do, because we didn't have money for me to go to college to be something. My family wasn't rich. Right? I'm just like everybody else. I had 6 sisters and 1 brother. And
wow.
It wasn't always easy,
Yeah.
And you're always, and now from the generation, okay, at least graduate high school and I'm gonna get me a job. I'm gonna make sure that I make me some money. At that particular time, I was worried about being drafted because Vietnam was on at that time, and a lot of.
How old were you?
I was 8. When I got out of school, I was 18.
Okay. And
but
so had the war already started?
Vietnam was going on ever since I graduated in 1968. Vietnam was going on hot and heavy right after Kennedy got assassinated. Johnson sent a whole bunch of troops in there in 63 or 64, right? So that's one thing. I wanted to go in the military, but I wouldn't know if they were going to draft me. It was just easier to sign up. Right? The best part about being drafted, which I was hoping to do, was you only had to serve 2 years. But if you signed up, it was a minimum of 3, sometimes 4. So you had to be a veteran in order to get a real decent job, a government job or something. That's how our system worked back in those days. So anyhow, I worked a couple of years as a receiving and shipping clerk. Then I went out looking for other jobs, and I found a job at, what's the name of the oil company? Gulf Oil, out on South Philly where the refineries are. That's a dangerous job as a laborer. As a laborer.
Yeah, right.
But it was paying $5 an hour, which was decent money, in 71 because I worked 2.5 years at that receiving the shipping clerk, and I went around looking for other jobs after a time because I got laid off. Yeah, and unemployment paid no money back in those days, so you sort of kind of were motivated to go out and get a job when you were in between jobs.
Right.
So I got a job at Golfwell, worked there for a while. But like I said, when you're just a laborer, I was just hiring a body out. They paid fine, but there was a lot of danger in a refinery. When you're young and don't know everything, you're trying to learn the different things. And
can you explain what would be some of the dangerous things that you'd come across, and how often, like day to day?
In the wintertime, oh man, in the wintertime, these pipes would freeze up. And they were supposed to be kept clean, where the oil would go through, and it would cool it and heat up other stuff. So you had to constantly be whacking away to get the ice off when it froze up overnight, and you came there the next morning. And when you chipped the ice, the ground was slippery, and you had boots on. We did it because there were very few older people. It seemed like they hired any people from 18 to 25 to do that job, right? I guess by the time you got 25 in the refinery, you worked in some other part of it, where they sent you to school for it, or you got self-taught right there. I'm not for sure, but the different labor jobs got me to thinking, man, this is rough. So I worked there for 2 years. Then I caught a break and got a job with the railroad. They were hiring for brakeman conductors. So my dad worked there and my uncle did, and they told me that you can probably get a job there when you go and just apply, because it was big turnover. Companies after a while, the people worked there so long, there's a big turnover. Mm. So I worked for that for a while. Still waiting to get drafted. Never received a letter yet, right?
How old are you at this point?
At this point, I was 25.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
And what year is that?
This is 1975.
Okay, wow.
Right. So Jimmy Carter got elected. When did Jimmy Carter get elected? Yeah. Okay, what happened was Nixon got impeached, but he was just beginning to pull everybody out of Vietnam.
Right.
And then Jimmy Carter got elected, and he pardoned everybody, all them guys that went to Canada and all them other places.
Right, yeah.
Right. So I said, well, if there's any time to go in the military, now's the time to go in. The Vietnam is climbing down. Mm-hmm. It's, they're pulling out of there, so we're at a peacetime point. And I guess I might as well go because I did want to get the government job or something like that, or belong to a union. Even unions didn't hire you unless you knew somebody, if you hadn't served in the military. For the Roofers Union, Carpenters Union, Steel Workers Union, Arm Workers, all this kind of stuff.
We're all military guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the way it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s as far as getting a job. So then I signed up to the military, and I went to Fort Hood, Texas. I was in 1st Cav infantry, right? So I went through basic and all that kind of stuff. And then part of it being infantry, is that you had to become you had to jump out of a plane. They call it instructions on parachute. So for that part of my MOS 11 Bravo, and they had to get IOP, they sent us to Fort Benning, Georgia. I think it was Fort Benning, Fort Bragg. Anyhow, where you go to learn how to jump, right?
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward, really.
Yeah. So it was my second jump out of an airplane that I injured my ankle. Right.
all the way down, or
when
like the landing, or just
when I was at the landing, when I feet hit, you're supposed to bend your knees. It don't take but a fraction of a second to make a mistake. Right?
And like where are you descending into, like fields?
It was a green field. You know, they have places that you land, take you up in the plane, and then they tell you, okay, they kick you out, push you out, and you're all one after another, about a second apart, and you're coming down. You know, as a youth, even though I was 25, you know, you still think, oh man, this is easy. You did it a couple of times, right? You know, you forget, right? Yeah. This isn't a game. This is real life. Gravity is gravity, right? So, you know, I injured myself. So they took me to the base hospital, and they looked at it, and then they said, you know what? This ankle has been operated on before. I said, yeah, I tore a tendon playing high school football. They said, oh, well, you had surgery. You didn't put this down. I said, man, that's not surgery. You know, I never considered that. When you're young, you don't consider, because everybody's like, okay, you go get your tendons repaired. So they says, well, with your MLS and having to be a paratrooper, we aren't going to keep you. Right? Wow. So they gave me an honorable discharge under medical conditions, because they said my ankle would interfere if I ever had to be dropped, and they didn't want to take that chance with me. So my career as a soldier was short-lived. I never saw any combat or anything, you know, but jumping out of the plane was just like combat. So, and I didn't earn my wings, you know, after you make five, you know, you get your paratrooper wings and all that kind of stuff. So I came back to the real world. You know, I came back to the real world in 70. Let's see. You know, I went in there in 77. I was 27 when I came back in 78. Right? Got a few odd jobs. Got unemployment. You know, when you come out in the military, they say, okay, you can get unemployment. So even though it wasn't much, I was able to survive a little bit. I saved a couple $100 when I was in there. And I kicked around for a while trying to find out what I was going to do. But I was really interested in becoming a union member in one of the trades, because that's where the money's at. Right. You know, in the construction field. So I kept hanging around different construction companies when they would do jobs, and asked them, you know, could I get a job? So anyhow, one day, this New Allen construction company says, yeah, I'll take you on part-time. You know, he said, I'll take you on part-time, but as a part-timer, you know, you can't join the union. You got to work with me for a while before I do that. So anyhow, you know how that goes. If you're on part of the union, you don't get union money, right?
Right.
So, make a long story short, I worked with him for a while until he gave me an apprenticeship for carpentry, because I was a carpenter's helper, right? And I really enjoyed that. And then he sent me to, I can't even remember the name of the school. It was a small school, just to learn floor print reading. And because what he did mostly was new development construction, small housing construction, when he would, what do you call them places? They would make new housing developments. So 2 and 3 story houses, or would completely gut out brick to brick houses that were already, you know, made, and they would redo them over, and whoever he was with, they would sell them for a lot of money. But it was good work, right? So I became an apprentice, a carpenter's apprentice in 82, right? In 85.
How old are you at this point?
In 82, I was 32 years old.
Okay.
I got the job with Blue Construction when I was 28, at 32.
So it's coming up to the time.
Yeah, so it's coming up to the time. So that was in 1982.
Did you start lived like a full life at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I would drive everywhere, you know. So my vision was doing me a lot of good.
Yeah, sure.
I enjoyed life, and stuff like that, you know.
Wait, did you end up making like your own furniture, like as a carpenter's apprentice? Were you making?
No, because I was what you call a framing carpenter.
Okay.
You know, we're the guys that frame out the houses and everything. Right. So making sure that they were stable, right? You know, and well constructed, and we would reinforce houses that were already made. We placed the beams in them and everything. And it was a thing with you, a different place every 6 months, right? And then you were off for about maybe 3 months out of the year, something like that. So I had joined the union, and they were talking about, he was talking about affirmative action. Like he was telling me, you know, if you stay with me long enough, we'll help you start your own little company, and you'll be one of our affirmative action contractors. Now,
pretty cool.
What went on then in the 70s and the 80s, and I guess into the 90s, it may still be going on today, is that the government said minority contractors have to have a certain portion of, you know, construction site that's doing a big job. Right? So, you know, what they were telling me is, instead of making, you know, $800 to $1,000 a week, I would be in charge of a crew for a certain portion of the contract, you know, which would take me up to like $100,000 a year. But they would make sure all the paperwork was done. And, you know,
$100,000 a year, and what year?
That would have been in. Let's see. I hadn't started making it. This is what they said was possible for me. Okay, I don't want to make you think I was making $100,000 a year. At that time, I was making like $800 to $1,000 a week, depending upon if I worked 5 days or 6 days. You know, so I guess it was in '87. He started telling me about this. So that's '82. 5 years later, you know, he says, "Listen, you're a good worker. You're learning, right? And I just want to turn you in on something." He says, "We get big contracts, and we're looking for minority contractors. I know you don't own a business or anything, but we're willing to help you and show you how to form so you can be one of our affirmative action contractors."
Are you on the union yet?
Yeah, Union 57.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so yeah, so you know, this is what they're telling me. So it's one of the things where you work and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, listen, because you're black, that's what affirmative action is, right? You know, we can make money by getting you in the business that we can give you part of our business." You know how that thing goes.
Yeah.
So that was my dream, right? He talked to me about that in '87. '88, I started going blind.
So in '87, you're 38.
I'm 87, not 37.
37, okay.
Right. 88, I'm 38.
Like, when did you first notice, or like what was the first?
Yeah, what was
sign,
it like
you started?
When you're perfectly fine, and then that's the smallest feeling.
Then the field of vision started shrinking.
Wow.
Right. Then it stopped shrinking.
From the outside in?
Yeah, it stopped shrinking that way. Then it started this way.
Ah.
Right? So then it was my left eye. It went all the way. It only had a small amount of vision in my left eye. But in my right eye, I had from, let's see, just use the clock. That's how they tell you about your eye. So from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock peripherally, in my right eye, I still had vision. Mm-hmm. Okay. In my left eye, I only had central vision. It's like looking through a straw. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, I had gone to opticians, you know, our chart and all that kind of stuff. Even went to an ophthalmologist, and they said, "There's nothing wrong with your eye." And they were absolutely correct. Right? I should have gone to a neuro-ophthalmologist, or that could have looked, you know, at the nerve. Mm-hmm. Right? I have a nerve disease of my optic nerve, right? And it slowly died. But at that time, all the focus was on the eye. Nobody had gotten to the nerves and all that kind of stuff. Even though, they should have looked at the retina and all that kind of. But I just said, man, what's happening? They don't believe nothing's wrong with me. The doctors keep telling me there's nothing wrong with my eyes, and there's nothing wrong with my eyes. Y'all see my eyes?
Yeah, your eyes are fine.
So I just said, well, I don't know what's happening with me, and I didn't know where to go. Right, I went to the person that examined your glasses and all that kind of stuff, and they said, there's nothing wrong with your eyes. And they were right? And not knowing or not understanding how the body works, I didn't realize that the optic nerve, just like a person who gets paralyzed, that's the same way your eyes work too. So my eyesight diminished very rapidly. Right? I didn't do nothing to put the turn on. I don't know what, I guess it's like cancer in a person's body. They get it and you don't know what turns it on. But after I went blind, or a little before I went blind, there were people on my mother's side of the family that went blind. But they didn't know what it was all about because they didn't, growing up down south, they didn't go to doctors and all that stuff. When you were so old and you were black and you lost your sight, you just lost your sight and had to figure it out.
But they lost it when they were older.
Yeah, they lost it when they were older.
When's the earliest that they would lose it?
I think they told me my Aunt Vera lost it when she was like 55.
Okay.
Right, and so not knowing, here's again that not knowing your medical history or people not understanding about that. I was a victim of that, not knowing, and people not going to hospitals and all that kind of stuff. Right? So I became very frightened, and I started going to work. I had to stop driving and was making a lot of mistakes on the jobs. I couldn't see the ruler and couldn't hit a nail. Right? Had to get a certain way to look to hit a nail.
Yeah.
So I just went down and down and down.
So was it a situation like because you were part of a union they were going to give you money?
No. They told me I had to go find out what was wrong with my eyes. Right?
So if you found out what was wrong, would they give you money?
It never really got that far. I became so afraid at what was happening, and it happened so fast. Right? And I didn't understand about disability income. Okay, you gotta understand. I mean, you gotta know about these things and I didn't understand about disability income. All I know is I went and applied for unemployment. Then unemployment told me that they could only give me so much because the guy said he doesn't know, he's not firing me, he just don't know why I'm not showing up for work. And then I went from there to welfare. Okay, because I don't know what to do. Huh?
Fuck.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm from $800 to $1,000 a week down to unemployment, then down to welfare. Scared to death.
You're 39.
Yeah, I'm 39 years old. Girlfriend's pregnant, right?
How far along is she?
I guess she was about 6 months. She was showing.
She was 6 months and you're completely blind.
Yeah. I had a little bit of sight. From on this side, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You know how those things and the slices of pizza pie, that's how they do your field of vision. So I had a little bit of sight from 3 o'clock to 5.
You had 2 slices of pizza.
Yeah, 2 slices of pizza,
That's not
thin
enough.
slices of pizza. Yeah. And something inside of me just snapped. I just gave up. I just wanted to die. I just wanted to die. Because people were saying, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You talk about you blind. You don't look blind. I'm saying, oh my God. How do you convince somebody you can't see?
Yeah.
That's a good question I've never even asked myself.
Yeah. So my life just went downhill from there. I said, you know what? A little bit of money I had, I started drinking. Then I became homeless. I said, you know what? If I go in the streets of Philadelphia, right? and become homeless, join the homeless people. Somebody killed me out there because I had an attitude. I'm not going to push me around and stuff like that. And that's how I became homeless. I intentionally said, I'm going out here to God, that way somebody can kill me.
And you're what age now?
39.
Still 39.
Yeah, it's...
Well, did you feel like sort of... Well, I'm sure you sort of felt helpless in a certain way, like as if like this is more than you could handle. And so I feel like, I don't know, is going out to live on the street a way of like kind of putting it in the hands of, I don't know, like a higher power, or just being like, I can't do this alone.
Well,
someone's just gonna have
I
to
admitted
do
to
this.
him. I mean, like I told the lady in the inquiry, and people did fostering. I just wanted to die. How can I live like this? Right? Nobody believing I really can't see. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
And I don't know.
What about your wife? Was she did she believe?
No, we weren't married then. She was my girlfriend.
Okay, your girlfriend.
Yeah, we didn't get married until after. That's later on. I'll tell you about that later on. But anyhow, something inside me just snapped. I said, man, you ain't worth nothing. Nobody's gonna live like this. I just got so down on myself and said, God, the hell with this. I can't explain how I went to just, whew, it was unreal. I couldn't believe the person couldn't see anything. Even now, I look up at the sun, I feel the heat, I open my eyes as wide as I can. How can a person not see the sun? But it's like that. Yes. But anyhow, the people on the streets, they taught me how to survive on the streets. So listen, you can always get food stamps or a check and stuff like that, right? So, on check day, everybody that was in our little group, different check days, we got high, right? Food stamp days, we bought food. Just sleeping on the streets of Philadelphia, you got a box. In the wintertime, you got paper or cardboard and a plastic trash bag so you could, your body could hold the body. They taught you how.
Wow.
Right? And when you belong to a little homeless community, they have a lot of homeless communities out there.
Right.
Right? For some reason, people just giving up, or they just become alcoholics, just become drug addicts. So I got hooked on alcohol, cheap wine, and, good alcohol when I could get it, right? And crack cocaine, because that was the cheapest things out there. And what it did is just getting high just took you out of reality.
Out of the pain.
Yeah, out of reality. Some days you got high, some days you didn't. Time just went by. Different things happened out there sometimes. A couple of times I got beat up out there. People just beating up on homeless people. We went through a rash of that in the city of Philadelphia. It's crazy.
Were a lot of the people that you were with, like, did they have disabilities as well? Or did they recognize like the kind of, like you would need some help, getting from place to place, and they were... they would say there were quite a few guys out there who had poor vision. Mm-hmm. There are different degrees of sight. Yeah.
And people that have normal sight don't understand. Some people that, nearsighted, farsighted. Some people have colorblind. I can't begin to tell you. And then a lot of people out there on the streets have mental illnesses. Mm-hmm. Right, so society really just gave up on them, right? And you just became satisfied with just existing every day. That's what the homeless world is like, because nobody is going to do what it takes to bring you back, right? And once you become homeless, it takes a lot of reprogramming.
Before you go into the reprogramming, can you talk about the dynamic of you being a completely blind homeless person, and like what where did you live? Like, were you around other people? Were they in the area? Did you guys meet up?
I was in Center City. I lived for the last Okay, let me see. At first, I was in what they call Skid Row, down near the police station, 8th and Race.
Yeah.
Underneath the bridge, where historical Philadelphia, and we got underneath the bridge, and you live down there. And some people would come and bring food and stuff down there, right? And
How
then
often would they do that?
3-4 times a week.
Wow.
Trevor Services. It was I forget where Trevor was, but you hear about these different places. So that was one of them. Then there was Philadelphia Committee for the Homeless, I think. They would come and bring food. And they try and offer you to go to the shelters to get off the streets. Well, the shelters were worse than being on the street.
This is what I've heard. Yeah, can you talk about this? Because I've heard a lot of homeless people say that the shelters are far worse. Like, for instance, that you could lose all your belongings in one night stay from bed bugs or something. And the infestation,
not just from bed bugs,
or like getting it stolen or something.
Yeah. We carried whatever we had. We either had a carrying bag, a book bag, or a black plastic trash bags.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So every place
Classic.
you went, yeah, or you had a duffel bag.
Mm-hmm.
So every place you went, people, the cops knew you were on the homeless people, right?
Yeah.
There were places. For instance, there was my brother's house. My brother's house is a Catholic charity place. It's on 15th Street. Then there was John's Hospice. Race Street was John's Hospice. I think it was Race 12th and 13th and Race that you could get food and they served a hot meal a day and you could come there and wash up, right, and get changes of clothes. There were quite a few places in the city that did this, right, because people always cared about the homeless. They just didn't know what we cared about ourselves or why we allowed it to get like that. But you never know a person's story,
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, let me get back to the shelters. The shelters were brutal because when people got released from jail on probation or something like that, they didn't have anything. So the first place they would go to the shelters. Now the shelters had a program there, right? So when you're in there with inmates that were just released from jail, who knew what they may have been involved in, they're always looking for a sting, right? I remember I came there one time. This group came from somewhere. It was in October, November, right before Thanksgiving, and they gave us all new sneakers, right? It got very, very cold. Now I'm blind, right? So these trucks would come around and say, hey, we're taking you off the streets. They would force us to get off the streets. They would call Code Blue or something like that. And they'd take you to a shelter. Now, you take your sneakers off, right? They gone.
Wow.
They're gone.
So you lost your shoes.
I mean, even though I tried putting them right underneath my head into the blanket, but people, they do whatever they can to try and give it. So when they see new sneakers, this is a sting for them. They can go out and sort of use it themselves. If you got new clothes or blankets and stuff because you're living out there, and you go to the shelter, the next morning you wouldn't have it if you slept light or fell asleep. And you didn't want it, and they said, well, we got lockers, but you didn't put a lock on the locker.
Pretty difficult for you.
Yeah. So it was easier and safer and less stressful. If something got stolen from you in the streets, okay, I'm in the streets. I tried to hide this here or near a trash can or underneath some bushes or someplace, and you go back and it's gone.
Blind. You hide things blind, and you'd be able to find them.
Yeah,
In places where sighted people wouldn't be able to find them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you would. And sometimes people look out for stuff. For instance, when I was living right there, I stayed at Borden, Locust, right at the subway stop at Academy of Music, between Academy of Music and Schubert Theater.
Not far at all.
Right, okay. And right at that subway stop, you know, I used to sleep right in back and come in and ask for a change, or people would come by and they would take me to, you know, my brother's house or Father Divine or something like that, so we can get something to eat. People that knew you were homeless, were in the homeless community, they would come and try to, come on, man, let's go eat, you know, every day. That's right? Cool. Sometimes, you know, people at that particular place knew me, so that was like my...
Did you have friends? Or did you have people that you were homeless with together? Like, what was the community like in terms of relationships for you?
You had drinking buddies. Okay. Like I tried to tell you, whenever you got your check, you had to go to the welfare office, or at that time, 3-2 centers, I forget. But you had a card that you had to keep, and you had a certain day of the week you would get your welfare check, right? And most homeless people, you either got a check and food stamps or just food stamps. But when they started saying, well, if you were capable of working, if you were healthy, you know, you couldn't get money, you could only get food stamps. So we would then buy so much food and exchange some of the food stamps for money, right? So that we could get high or go to an all-night movie and spend the night. I think it was $4.50. You go to one of them all-night movies on Market Street, the sex movies, right? And they had big comfortable chairs, and you spend the night in there. You know, that's how you would spend some of your nights. Man, there's so many different ways to survive when you're homeless. But one thing about it is, if you can get to these places and you get with the right group of people, right? Even though the price you pay is helping everybody get high every day, and you bet not show up on your day with money, right? Then okay, right. You get, you know, okay, man, you went someplace else and got high. You know what I mean? It's whew. So how do you even put that in words? It was a group of people, and we depended on each other to survive, to get high, and to buy food, or to go to places that we could eat, or, you know, go to places that we could shower and get different clothes. And there are a lot of people out there, or organizations out there, that do care about the homeless or make an effort toward it, to make these things available to them. Where would you spend some days when it was freezing cold? You go to the library, they would let you in police stations, you could go to health centers, and you would have your stuff with you, right? But when you got in the health center, you go in the bathroom and wash up the best that you could.
Right.
Man, there were so many things that went on out there as far as how you survived every day.
What was the toughest thing about it? Was it like a temperature thing, or was it like a food thing? What was the most important thing that you worried about?
Now, you may not believe this, but the scheduling. Okay. There were places you could eat, but they served food at certain times.
Right, so you had to get there, couldn't be high or something.
Yeah, you know, and there were more than one place in the city. Some people that were out there that were homeless were, you know, homeless for different reasons. They made a schedule for, okay, I can get here, I can get there, and they would get, you know, 2 good meals a day, even though they were rushed, right? And you hope you get there when the first one's there to stand in line. Now, sometimes fights broke out in line because somebody wanted to save a place for somebody that was their homie or stuff like that. You know, so it was the same old thing, no jumping in front of somebody, and people got upset about it, and then if y'all got to fighting, then they closed it down for the day. So it's just these are some of the things that go on out there.
Wow.
Okay, you know, because even though you're out there, you want things your own way. Okay, me and my homies, we all gonna eat together. Come on, man, we up here. Oh, you've been waiting in line. I'm not gonna let you get in front of me, and they may run out of food. Salvation Army, that happened a couple of times. St. John's Hospice. Oh man.
Okay, so you're homeless at this point. How many years?
I was homeless from 1989 to. No, let's see, 90. I went to the streets in 90. So 1990 until 1996.
Oh. Okay, and so how far into that were you thinking? Because obviously you stopped being homeless and here you are now, fucking killing it. How far? But in the beginning you were saying, I just want somebody to actually like kill me, and then you're like, okay, people met me, I met people, started living together, stuff like that. But it's still pretty nihilistic. You're still getting high all the time. You said that was basically life, the scheduling, right? At what point in the 3 years are you saying, I gotta get out of here?
None. Honestly, I expected to die on the streets. Okay. What saved me? I mean, I told my family to come down and say, listen, you don't have to live like this. I'm not living under y'all rules, and y'all keep on telling that. I mean, family brutal. I said, listen, it's up to God. Either I'm going to die out here, or God's going to pick me up one day, dust me off, and y'all never know I was here. I says, but, he got to do something for me. I can't live like this. There's nothing I can do as a blind person. I'm worthless, So, and one of my sisters said, you ought to stop that. Ain't nothing, you ain't blind. Ain't nothing wrong with you. They look at your eyes. You can't see what's inside of a person. You can't see cancer. People have a lot of things that go wrong with them that they're born with. And one day the key turns and the door opens for that particular disease or ailment. How I got off the streets of Philadelphia, I moved from downtown because the police the business people in Center City didn't want the homeless. It become overwhelming downtown, okay? All of a sudden a lot of homeless people were losers or whatever, they started coming downtown. So then God said to me, listen, why don't we go up University City? I says, man, I don't know about University City. Right? I did what I could see. Right? He said, no, seriously, you go up University City, they got different churches that'll feed you every day. We just had to find out what's going on up there. So I agreed to go up there. That was in 1995. I moved up and started being homeless in University City.
By the way, a lot of homeless people they stay in an area and they're like in that area all the time, right? But then you're blind and you're homeless, so I bet it's more extreme. How small of an area are you moving around in the course of these 5 years? Is it like 2 blocks, 3 blocks? Like how big of a distance?
Like a 3-block area, unless I had help.
Whoa. And if you got help, how far could you go?
If I got help, then I would go from Broad and Locust to 609 South 15th Street. That's where my brother's house was to eat. Father Divine's on Broad Street, Broad and Fitzwater, something. That's where they serve daily meals.
Okay, so like a few blocks.
Yeah, to 12th and I think it's Race, where St. John's Hospice is, right? And then sometimes, just one particular group of people, like 3 of them, they were homeless in North Philly. They would take me to 802 North Broad, Philadelphia Committee for the Homeless, and there they had a building there, and you could sign up and you would shower and they give you clothes and everything, so you getting clean or getting used. They wouldn't use clothes. They would take clothes, wash them, and press them, make them presentable for the homeless people.
That's cool.
It's you can survive out there. If you've given up on life. Okay. No one out there that's homeless really has a dream. or a purpose. They're just existing. You know. Now there are hustlers out there who go out there, and then every place you know there's somebody's hustling off of people like that. So they're preying on people like that. You know, so you are a victim for different things. But it was quite a unique experience. I was being blind. I was no longer frightened. That may sound crazy, but because, you know, I got high every day, you know, I didn't expect anything of me. I was expecting any day somebody could go crazy, you know, and especially when they were beating people up, when they were beating the blind people up in Center City, and they were setting some people on fire, you know. There were skinheads that were doing this.
Oh,
right? You know, and it just became a thing for about 6 months. You know, and police tried to protect us, and they could be angry at us because they had to spend time protecting us. It was a vicious circle. Right? I mean, to talk about the different little communities of the homeless society or community in Philadelphia is a book that, you know, covers the drug world. It covers poverty. I mean, you know, you got the sex trade down there. I mean, you got the gay community down there. You got everybody's preying on everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody wants something for cheap. How you survive out there and hold on to your sanity, I don't know. Okay.
Now, okay, so before it starts getting better in University City.
Yeah, well, yes, it starts getting better in University City because these churches are, let's see, it was 38th and Chestnut, 37th and Chestnut, Spruce Street. There was a church on Locust Street. There was a church on Spruce Street. You know, and people would, and then there was the library, right?
Right.
And we would sit around there, and people would bring on the weekend sandwiches there around noontime. And University of Pennsylvania had a homeless center on 3601 Locust Walk, right? And you learn how to do that. Would walk 1 foot on the curb, right, and 1 foot on the pavement, and you know, so cars would then not come up about that and just walk and say, okay, this is this street, this is this street.
Curves.
Yeah, you know, and then that way, getting around the 3601 Walnut Street for where the shelter was in that great big house. I would just ask people, hey, y'all, can you help me here? I'm looking for this. And students would help you, or people would help you and say, what's wrong with you? You know, and you didn't smell too bad because you washed up there. You could wash up there.
It's crazy when I encounter homeless people that have a very strong stench to them. It's wild. Like,
Yeah.
How fast does that happen? If it's really strong and it's like they're down the street and you can smell it, like how long does it take for that to happen?
That's when they're sleeping in plastic. Okay, because you sweat. You pull this plastic bag up to here. You get the plastic trash bag.
There's no circulation whatsoever.
Right. So then your feet stink, right? And then it gets in your clothes, you know. And so if you don't go someplace and wash and change clothes, or you sleep on a steam vent.
Okay. Yeah. So I see that. So the steam vent will make that happen.
Yes. Yeah. The steam vent smells like sour.
Yeah.
Sour water.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, so
and worse.
And worse, yeah, and worse. So it depends on, you know, and if they're the type of person that wants to clean up every day. Not all of them want to clean up every day.
Right.
You know, it's because they're in a state of depression. Right. You could write a book on the homeless, but if you lived there, if you just, you know, wanted to become homeless and see what it was like, you know. But they would know whether you were.
Right.
what was going on. But like I said, I was one of the real ones, and I was out there because, trust me, I'm gonna say this. I was hoping I would die. I didn't see no value in my life once having lost all opportunity to acquire a quality of life that wasn't poor. Yeah. Okay, I mean, because you're from a big family, you don't have very much. I mean, you hear the stories about it, but really, you don't have very much. And most of the parents are waiting for you to get old enough to get your own job, get your own place, so that you'll ease their financial burden if they're good parents.
Right.
Okay. Some parents will just keep a house, and okay, I'm paying the bills here. You got to find your own food. You got to just and there's people do whatever they got to do to get a meal.
Now I want to talk about how you get out of homelessness, but I do also want to ask, like I do wonder, right? Like some homeless people in places that I've lived, they'll be there for decades, but some homeless people will not. What percentage of people would you say were there for longer periods of time, and how many people aren't making it? And like, of course, over the 5 year or the 6 years, I'm sure that you saw that. Like, how much is that?
Yeah, there's a turnover.
Yeah, what is that like?
Those of them that are mentally ill, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even though, I was amazed because they get SSI, which is $600 or $700 a month.
Right.
At that time, it's $500 a month. But you had to be mentally ill.
Right.
And you ask yourself, well, why are they mentally ill and on the streets and homeless? Right.
That's a good question. That's a good question, Charles.
It costs too much for the city to house them and take care of them, all
right.
that kind of stuff. Right? So that's what makes them the victims. There are a lot of ones that are mentally ill that would get their check, go to the bank, get all their money, putting it in. People who knew they would wait for them and rob them. Right?
Yeah.
There are guys out there. This is,
right,
it's a vicious cycle out there. Right? What percentage make it out? I would say 20%.
20%.
Right. Per year. Every year,
Okay.
20% will make it out.
Wow.
Right? Because they haven't lost that drive and desire to want to live decently.
How many pass away?
I don't know. A lot of them do. But they
More than
passed away.
20%?
Yeah. And they, I would say about 25%.
Wow.
You may have
about
one
the same
year
amount of people get out
that
pass away.
Yeah, a little bit more pass away than get out. And you may have 1 year, I remember 1 year we're out there, about 50 people died in a 3-month period.
This is the winter. What is it? What was that from?
Yeah, it was around between February and May.
Oh, so it's actually getting warmer.
Yeah, but a lot of people out there are ill and don't take care of themselves.
Right.
They walk around pneumonia.
Yeah, sure.
For years.
Years.
For years. How I got out, as I was up in University City, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt easier trying to work my way through traffic because I knew the streets up there. Spruce, locust, walnut, chestnut, right? 34th was a long block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the places where they showed me that you could eat at, I could find my way there. And then in the 3400 block, between 34th and 36th on Walnut Street, they had stores and restaurants there. I don't know if they still do it now. And there was that bank. So I could sit there right? In the wintertime, wrapped up, and just ask people, "Would you give me something to eat or something like that?" Right? And they would feed me. Sometimes they would give me money, and I would walk. I could make it to the state store, which was at Preston Market. You walk up to 40th Street, keep traveling to get, and then cross the street, listen for traffic. I was learning how to listen for traffic.
How long did it take you to listen for traffic? Because that takes some fucking balls.
I can't say how long. I would stand there. I'm not as good. I wasn't as good as it then as I am now.
I believe that. Yeah.
Okay. So, and it would take me a long.
And you're 69
time.
now.
Yeah. So it would take me a long time to travel from, let's say, 36 and Walnut to 40th and Market, where the state store was. Then I had to get in there.
So,
right?
Wait, 36 and Walnut to, what did you say, 40th and Market? So that's like
Market.
5 blocks?
Yeah.
6 blocks?
Would take a long
So how long is 6 blocks for you? Is that 2 hours?
At least.
2.5 to 3 hours, 6 blocks.
Yeah, because I had to get my courage every now and then. Because crossing Chestnut Street was rough. Yeah, trying to get across Chestnut, I had to make sure I was on the right side of the street. It's in you're doing it in your brain.
Yeah, you're doing a lot in your brain.
Okay, you remember what streets are like. Because good thing I was a carpenter and was in the building construction field. Right? So you know what blocks look like. And in your mind, so you knew straight lines and curves and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Did you have like a cane of some kind?
No.
Like, at this time, or, going,
what?
No.
So you didn't have a cane. How much does the cane help? I mean, it's just like night and day?
Yes. Because there are cane techniques that make walking easy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make interacting with other pedestrians easy.
I would, believe that.
I don't even pay attention to the fact that you got a cane. So you got to pump the pedestrian by the back, all that kind of stuff. Then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and at the corner, you listen for the corner, then you tap somebody because they're standing there trying to find you. "Oh, I'm sorry." Then they say, "What does?" Then they're, "Oh, you're blind." I said, "Yeah, I don't mean no harm. I'm just trying to make it to the corner." That's now, right? But
sure.
Before then, I would just stop and walk along the curb line, and I would hit traffic beside me. If somebody was trying to park or something like that, they'd blow the horn at you trying to park. And say, "Oh man,
See, that's crazy because I'm just imagining. If I were to see that would. I've never seen a blind person walk without a cane before.
But they're out there.
Right, they're out there in Philadelphia right now.
Right now, their vision is so poor they might as well be blind.
Right.
When I gotta tell you this now. After getting myself together, going to college and all, I did an internship at the Veterans Center down at 4th and Spring. Right? So down there, homeless vets come in, they're living on the streets and stuff like that. And this one guy came in, and they brought him over to me, right? Because I'm doing an internship there, and I'm blind. And they say, "Hey man, listen, we've been telling you about this guy. Here he is, right here. He can't see at all. He just like you." I'm saying to myself, Lord, I thought I was the only fool that couldn't see and would challenge the streets. I said, "First, man, do you want to live or you want to die?" He said, "Man, I want to live, but people don't believe I'm blind." So once again, here's somebody that didn't have an eye problem. He had a nerve problem. So when I talked to the counselor there, I said, "Listen, he needs help." I said, "I've been where he's at." I said, "He doesn't just need a detox." Because he said, "Well, somebody just give him to a detox so I can get a check." Right? He wanted a detox so he get in the program and get the check. Right?
So that he could retox.
Yeah. And that hurt me so bad because it brought back everything. I says, "Man, I says, listen, if you really want to live," I says, "trust me, You know, he said, man, they done done everything to me out there. And I believe they done everything to me.
Yeah, you knew.
Right, and I knew. You know, so she made quite a few phone calls, and, you know, we got him to Jefferson Hospital, right, in mental health. Because in mental health and medical, something like that, where they take care of mental health patients who have medical issues also, right? I don't know what happened to him, but, you know, I did run into somebody just like me out there. It was mind-blowing.
What's your personal opinion on mental health? When it's like, in a way, if you're at this level of just scraping by, is that a mental health problem too, right? Like, what, do you see a difference there? Where's the overlap?
The overlap comes as it depends on emotionally how stressed out you are as far as your quality of life. Mm-hmm. You know, and I've got to go back to children from poor households. Okay. It's a dog-eat-dog world. But if you come up and you aren't used to having enough to eat, right? The only thing you know is dog-eat-dog. I mean, even his brother and sister, you know, I mean, I got snatched just off my brother's plate, right? The people that live like, the children that live like that, right? That's where the mental health part starts, the way you think, you know. Do you have to be aggressive and mean? So they take that from their childhood to their real life. Mm-hmm. And if they don't ever get up to a point where they have employment, a type of employment that will allow them to bring themselves out of that poverty mindset.
Yes, I totally agree with the poverty mindset thing, yeah. Because the mindset, it's just so powerful for everything. It just echoes out into all of the universe.
Yeah. And that's why for years they've had the projects is just generations of welfare. Recipients, girls having babies because, you know, here's a young girl
people don't
out
know
there.
Any better.
They don't know any better, and the guy offers her $20 to have sex with him. And, you know what $20 mean to somebody that's starving? I mean, especially if it's a girl, you know she can, and she don't worry about protecting herself. Already. Yeah, you know, and so, you know, it becomes a way of life that, you know, it's hard to get out of. So for homelessness, besides just a person going broke or something happening to them, a tragic incident happening that just they can't make a living no more, right? Mental health plays a very strong or high percentage in a child or a adolescent or a teenage adult. Okay. Mm. A lot of them are angry, not because nobody did anything to them, but nobody's helping to do anything with them. Anyhow, you know, it's all a game out there, especially you're in the part of society that's impoverished. You know? But yet, a large percentage make it out by the grace of God. I mean, that's the only way I made it out. I was, you know, I had come from the state store, right? Because somebody gave me some money. It was beginning to snow. It was cold. It was nighttime.
And right, you said about snow. Tell us what you said about snow before we started this podcast.
Oh well, snow is very difficult because it softens the sounds, so you can't hear any danger coming towards you when it's snowing. It's like a cushion and stuff. Rain is dangerous because it blocks out all sound and makes its own sound. And then if the wind is blowing, you know, you can't use your facial vision, right? Which is
the sensation.
Yes, it's the sensation of air moving and vibrations.
By the way, how acute? Obviously, you weren't lifting weights back then, so you're like a superstar compared to what you were used to be able to do with your body. But even back then, like at that at that point in time, what are your senses like? Because obviously they're way heightened in different ways because you're blind.
They were heightened and frightening because I didn't understand them.
Yeah, still.
Okay, I didn't understand. Even though I was blind, I didn't understand that this noise meant danger. This was an echo let me know how far away it was from something. I had no...
Right.
You lose your sight and your other senses pop in, but you aren't used to using them. You aren't used to using them. So, you slowly begin to understand and you just focus on, okay, this is danger. Right? But let's skip to the point where I was drunk, I was homeless, I was trying to make it back to the steam vent I was sleeping on at 37th and Spruce. Right? I don't know how long it took me because the snow was going and then the cars were coming. People were blowing at me. So I knew I was on 38th Street. So I crossed over to 38th Street, got across Chestnut Street, got across Market Street, and there's a long block there. Mm-hmm. Right, on 38th Street. Right? You don't have to worry about no traffic, or anything. Right? And I get down and I get to the Wawa. And I sit outside there and I ask people, can somebody get me a cup of coffee or a cup of hot chocolate? Right? It was snowing, it was freezing, nobody was stopping. Right? So I says, okay. Then I say, I'm going to make it down to my steam vent. I must have been drunk. I don't know. I was just depressed. I just quit. I was the city block, the square blocks, right? Well, here's the steam vent. And here's one square block and here's another square block. I wound up on the second square block from the steam vent. So this block was warm, right? And steam was coming. I just laid down. And next thing I knew, a police officer, a University of Pennsylvania policeman was shaking me, right? And he says, Charles, because I had developed a relationship with this particular police officer. They know, all the homeless people, and that would take time to talk to them. They know the ones that are mentally ill and all this kind of stuff. So he knew I was a veteran. And I just kept him in, listen, can't nobody help me. I can't do nothing. I'm blind. I done lost everything. That's how I was feeling, right? So this particular day, he says, well, listen, come on, get up. I'll take you and get you something to eat, right? And then, we'll take you to the library or something like that. Couldn't walk. I got up and fell right back down. Got to get up and got on my knees. Tried to get up and just fell right back down. Right? I couldn't feel from the top of my knees down to I couldn't feel them. I couldn't feel them. He says, well, you got to go to the hospital. I says, man, I don't want to go to the University of Pennsylvania because they know I'm homeless and they're just going to let me lay there and all that kind of stuff. He says, I'm taking you to the VA. Are you sure you're a veteran? I said, yeah, I'm a veteran. Right? So he took me there and he explained to them, listen, this guy's homeless. He doesn't have much vision, right? And he can't walk, right? So he took me to the emergency ward and that's where they kept me for 17 days. It took 9 days, 10 days before I could stand up on my own 2 feet and balance on a walker. Right? And then they realized I was blind. They said, how are you homeless and blind? You gotta be crazy to be out there like that. I says, yeah, well, I guess I'm crazy, but I'm not worth nothing. That's
You're
what
definitely crazy, Charles.
I said, I guess I'm not worth nothing. That's how I felt. No, I'm telling you, I'm not worth nothing. Whatever my family did to God or I did to God, I wish you would just take me. I'm tired, y'all. Can't nobody live like this. That was still my mindset when they had me in the VA hospital.
This is 97?
No, this is 96.
Okay.
November 96. It was that snowy. And it was in the winter. It may have been, no, it was right after Thanksgiving. Between they would know what day it was, but it was the winter time. It was the winter time. It snowed. We had those terrible snows in '96. The winter in '96. Right? So that's when GW came to me. He's the visual impairment specialist at the VA. He says, "Listen, my name is George Stillwell, and I hear about you." He says, "I'm here to help you." I says, "How can you help me, man? I'm blind. I'm not worth nothing." He says, "Yes, you are." He says, "I handle all the blinded veterans, and trust me, your life is worth living. If you were a soldier, you can fight this battle and this war too." So he says, "But whatever you do, I just want you to promise me that you'll make every effort to stay sober and be honest with me, and I'll use all the resources that the VA has to offer to you to get you together. And there's no time limit." He says, "We don't do that to a veteran. We find a veteran that really that needs help, and they're willing to follow the rules and do what we say do, and not if you make a mistake, if you get high again, come right back to us, right?" Something inside of me said, "Try it." I believe this guy. Still don't know what he looked like.
Right,
I believe this guy.
Now, is this the first person that was speaking to you just like that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been 9 years? Or 8 years? It's been 8 years since?
Yeah, not 89, 7 years.
Okay,
89. I went on the streets. I became homeless in 90. I started going blind in 88. And 89, I only had between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. I didn't realize that till after I, started getting educated and what kind of sight I had that. Right. Mm-hmm. So he says, "First thing we're going to do is get you Social Security, right, or disability." I says, "How? I'm blind." He says, "Because you're qualified for it. We'll take the test and everything. The government will file the papers and everything. Then we'll get you blind rehab, right? And then we get you detox blind. The whole list of everything I needed, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll get you mental health, and we'll get you housing, right? All the vocational training you need as a blind person, we'll do for you." He says, "The program is 3 to 6 months for the blind person, right?" I said, "Yeah, okay." I'm hearing all this stuff, but it's hard to believe that somebody's going to do all this for me, especially the military. When they said, "Well, you can't go to combat with a leg like that," so But I'm a veteran. At least I put forth the effort. I was down with the training and everything, and I couldn't help that. They jumping out of the plane did something to me. Yeah. So that was the beginning. In 1990, and they sent me from the VA to the Philadelphia VA to Coatesville for detox. Well, for rehab, drug and alcohol rehab. I detoxed in the VA. They sent me there. I stayed there, which is a 28-day program, but GW was working with the VIS coordinator out there, and they kept me there for 2 months until they had a bid for me in West Haven, Connecticut, the Eastern Regional Blind Rehabilitation Center. Huh. I went there and I met all these blind guys.
Wow, what was that like?
Oh man, it's speechless. All these guys that were visually impaired or blind, and and one of them was in a wheelchair because he was visually impaired. He had poor vision. Didn't have any legs, right? And they were talking about
he was blind and he didn't have legs.
Yeah. You're a veteran. You find a lot of messed up people in the VA. That are he was a Vietnam vet. You find a lot missing. And all these guys talked about, they're going to get better, right? Or they're going to say, okay, I'm going to listen to these guys. And the instructors were coming there. So they said, the first thing we have to teach you is, how's your hearing? I says, my hearing is too darn good. Sometimes I want to close my ears because I don't know what's happening.
Sometimes you want snow. Sometimes you want snow.
Yeah. So, sometimes I want to know what all these sounds are. Right? It's the first thing we got to do is got to teach you to only hear through like 3 or 4 straws in each ear. You want to block out everything else except 3 or 4 sounds in each ear.
That's interesting, yeah. Whoa.
How do you do that? We're going to make sounds. And we're going to make sounds on your right side. We're going to make sounds on your left side. Right? We're going to make sounds in front of you with stockings, with paper, with like all kinds of stuff. Right? So you'll know what's safe and what's danger. Right? Cool. We're going to put you, up there they understood. The people that work at the blind rehab and West Haven Connect, all of them for the VA, right? They know what blind people need to understand about themselves. You know, you need to understand that if you can navigate using your senses, you know, you're better than this person who got sight, right? You have value, you know, you aren't worthless.
Yeah.
Right? And then they teach you how to type. That's the next thing you learn is how to type. Oh. Right? I'm gonna type it. Here's some marks here, and you're gonna take your time. And these are the things, you know, ASDF, GHJKL semicolon, and then above. Then you learn 1 key below and 1 key below above. You know, and you got as much time as you need. Oh. And the typewriter's talking to you at the same time, right? I've never seen a talking typewriter. It's cool. Let's show them my watch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I tell time. We have talking watches, right? So that was one of the first things. They taught me how to get me a cane. They told me how to walk, right? You know, as far as using the cane to make sure that there was nothing in front of you, just making sweeps of 6 inches to each side, right? Paying attention to what you're doing. Feel your facial vision. There's movement everywhere. You know, so all of a sudden the stuff I was feeling outside and things I tell you I use now, they taught me that that's what all these things mean, being blind, right? And you use them to the best of your ability. Now, why do you get tired? Because as a blind person, you use about 5 more times mental energy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. When you're training to do this, how difficult, because it sounds almost impossible for someone like me to just do that, because my whole mental conceptualization of reality is mostly around vision. So that's all gone.
Yeah.
So now it's all imaginary. So I'm creating the system. You're creating the systems in your head. What's that like?
Well, number one, you gotta have I have to tell you about my coach, Joe Braca. And you know, we've jumped the whole my recovery.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right, okay. But here it is.
But now you're an award with in real you are an award-winning powerlifter.
I'm one of the oldest blind powerlifters in the world. I've won national championships. I won world championships and set records, right, for my age class, for the amount of weight that I, lifted in the squat and the deadlift. But let's go back to my coach.
Okay.
And let me tell you this. It took 8 months before I could squat with just a bar on my back. Good enough to be judged. And that was frightening.
Yeah.
Imagine, twice a week for 8 months, you're practicing squatting. You go to this gym 2 hours and you're practicing bench pressing, because in the bench, you can't just bring the bar down anywhere. It has to be 3/4 of an inch below the nipple, or 3/4 of an inch above the nipple. Anything above that, you're shouldering. You're doing a shoulder press. Anything below that, you're stomaching, right? Okay. So, this is how they're judged. The bodybuilders are judged. So then I had to learn how to bring this mentally. Okay, start coming down. He said, no, your arms are too far out. Yeah. Start down here. Now come up slowly. Now stop right there. He said, you're still in line. Oh, man, mentally, I had to understand what muscles were engaging.
Yeah.
To stay.
Yeah.
Where my skeleton was. I had never powerlifted before in my life. All right?
Yeah.
But you should first know what got me interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In 2009, depression was hitting me so bad because, once again, besides being blind, I had prostate cancer surgery. Okay.
Yep.
So they had to do the surgery because they said it was in 60% of my prostate. That's something else that was in my family I didn't know. So after going, so prostate cancer, right? Bam. A year later, I get hit with diabetes. Okay, now, so when they mess with your prostate, take all that stuff out, that messes with your sex life. Okay. And
at this point, what's your relationship status?
I'm married.
Okay.
Me and my wife got
Okay, so can you talk about, by the way, we kind of went over it, it's way back in the story, but you had a pregnant girlfriend.
Yeah.
What happened with her?
Well, she had the babies, the twins. Those are my son and my daughter. My daughter's the one that died in 2000.
Okay.
I didn't get back with my family until 1997. Okay. I mean, that's 1997 or 98. No, it was 98. That was a year after I've gone through the rehab and training and vocational training for a blind person and learned Braille they sent me to Bath, New York, and they had a professor from Cornell University teach me grade 1 and grade 2 Braille. Oh man, it was
They trained you up.
Yes. From the time the VA got me, I was in the VA system for about 14 months. Okay. I learned how to eat because I ate with my hands. It's hard when you can't see bringing food up on a fork or something exactly to your mouth. Right? I used to go here, I used to go my nose, under my chin, right? So I used to just take my hand, to my mouth like that. They taught me how to eat, how to, the brain's an amazing thing, how to feel that little bit of the light weight on the end of your fork and how to bring it to your mouth. It's one I had to learn how to squat. It's the same. You had to learn how to bring that angle to bring it up, and no one is there.
I don't know if the camera will catch it for the viewers, but your movements are very still. Okay. Like they're very much aligned.
Okay.
It's very precise.
Yeah.
You're precise. Yes.
Very high precision.
I'm locking these muscles right here, the shoulder, and that did, and I'm coming right up. I'm not letting my be loose or anything like that. That's because I have to be in that position.
Which coincidentally is fantastic for powerlifting as a concept.
As a concept.
Because you have to have it in powerlifting.
You're right. You have to have it in powerlifting. Learned about how to eat 3-6. They do your plate like the clock. 12, 3, 6, 9. And you try to place the foods, the meats over here. If you're going to be right-handed, you want to cut with your left hand, and your vegetables over there. Like I said, we learned how to type. We learned how to walk.
So before, you said 2009.
Okay.
Major depression hits, but you're with. Can you give the family setting? Like, what's your life like?
Okay.
And what's your life been like? What's the ingratiation back into your family?
GW helped me get contact when I got back. That VA helped me get an apartment. Under some program that they had. So now, I'm living in an apartment, and I'm still going to they'll pick me up and take me there so that for meetings, right? And also help me go shopping. I'm just the full service of what a blind person needs, because I learned how to cook at the Blind Yard. So I'm living in an apartment. All right, so I'm no longer homeless, and I'm being reintroduced to my wife, right? And I have twins, okay, which I've never really seen. I've never seen my twins. One daughter was born sick. She was born what they call a spinal disease, pseudomosis meningitis, something that made her paraplegic, right? My son is okay, you know. So I come back to Philadelphia in 1998, 97, yeah, I think it's early 1998, and I said I want to get back in touch with my mother's children, my children's mother, right? So GW helps me find. They still live in the same place, you know. So I call them and say, "Where you been?" I says, "I'm back here now. I'm totally blind." They said, "You still playing that game?" She thought I was still playing. I mean, you know, people still didn't.
Wow, that's terrifying. So when you went on the street, your girlfriend's opinion was that you were not blind.
Nobody believed. They said, "There's nothing wrong with your eyes. You can't."
It's wild, yeah.
Crazy. Because you could. I just feel like the easiest test in the world would be if you waved your hand in front of you. You wouldn't do anything because you wouldn't be able to see the hand.
Yeah.
Or, well, I mean, now actually you probably feel the air.
I know that I'm very acutely aware of any change in vibration of the air. You know, the flow of the air.
Yeah. How's the air in here, by the way?
It's moving, but not. The reason it's moving.
It's not great.
The reason it's moving is somewhere you have a light that has a heat source that's focused on me or us.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Okay.
All right.
All right.
And after being here so long, I begin to feel the heat rays and how it moves the air just slightly. There's always movement.
Dude, that is
and
so
your
cool.
I'm telling you what it is. You know, it took me a while to realize that you had a light in here, but you know, after a while we were talking, I said, okay, they got a light somewhere in here, and it's focused on us because the molecules begin to move around my face and stuff like that. You know, and it's kind of hot up there, right? But wow, these little things, and even on my hands and stuff. These little things that the body's a tremendous thing. You feel with all your skin, okay? You know, if I have a sleeveless t-shirt on, you feel the air every time I go and I move up. Oh man, it's hard to tell you how sensitive your skin is.
What's it like when you're reading Braille? Like, cause I guess the tips of your fingers are probably so sensitive.
Yeah, well, you know, Braille's something that's amazing. I'm right-handed, but I can only read Braille with my left hand. Okay, so, and then I read jumbo Braille fluently, but I can only read regular Braille if I go across it forwards and then backwards. And what happens is this. Let me tell you the story. When I first learned to read Braille, I kept saying to my instructor, I says, ACABISWAITINGFORYOU, right? He says, yeah. Now what does it say? 4 days it took me to figure out a cab is waiting for you. ACAB is cab. Because in your brain had these, you know, and there's just these little tiny dots. And each character represents a letter. And then you got to figure out the spacing between each one. And then once I said, wait a minute. He says, where's the spacing? I said, I don't know. What spacing? I says, I'm reading the characters. My brain was so on getting the characters right. I didn't realize it was a space there. But then all of a sudden the brain said, a cab is waiting for you. And that's how I learned how to read Braille. 4 days of reading the same letters over and over and over again. And the instructor is saying, now what does it say? I says, I'm telling you what it says. He says, no, you're reading the characters to me. There are words there. Your brain can't figure out that these A in Braille is the same as A in print. Or CAB spells cab. The same way it spells it in Braille, it spells it in print too. That was an awakening. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be an enlightenment. By the way, just for everybody that's watching, there's a viney plant that's all up on a banister where these lights are, and some of the vines, like some of the leaves, are like right next to the light, not even burnt a little bit. Like, so that's to say, like I'm telling you, like a centimeter or 2 centimeters away from the light, there's leaves, and they're not burnt at all. So there's like no fucking heat being emitted from these lights, because some lights are high heat, right? Yeah. These are really low heat lights, and you can feel them. So that's fascinating.
And I told you, it took a while for the heat to hit me, the movement of there's some heat there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but,
of course.
I didn't feel it until after we were here for a while. Mm-hmm. Right, but I'm so used to, okay, well, I still got a light in here somewhere, somewhere up there in front of it somewhere. That's, but I can't see the light. I couldn't tell you exactly where it's at. I don't know, it's just up in front of me somewhere.
Right.
Because of the way it's causing. Oh man, there's no way I can let you know how soft or how gentle the flow of air is.
Well, I will tell you, the closest thing that I have experienced to that is something called Vipassana meditation, which I've talked about on the podcast, so I won't go too far into it now. But Vipassana meditation is a technique that was created by Buddha. And basically, it's all about feeling the subtle vibrations of the body. So they start with the breathing of the nose and the lips underneath the nose. And so to feel the air that's going in and out of your nostrils, and to feel the air as it's going in and out on the lip, and the sensation of it going into the nostrils and the outside. And then from there, you feel the sensations of the face and the sensations of the neck, and then all the way down the body. Yes. And then from there, you start to do body scans where you'll go from the top of the head all the way down to the bottom, and you'll go back up again. But you'll start on a very gross level. Like you'll say okay, like top of the head. Okay, now like any sensation on the face, any sensation on the neck, any sensation on the shoulders, and then so on. But then it gets more nuanced, right? Then it's like forehead, cheeks, chin, front.
Excuse me, that's amazing, because you got to take classes for that. And my body does that automatically.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's so valuable. It's so valuable to have that attenuation. So it's crazy what it must be like for you to live your life, because this is a meditation technique. So aka you're like sitting down and feeling this type of thing, and this is what you have at all times. Yeah. This is your level of awareness at all times.
Yeah. So let me give a quick thing. Mm-hmm. I was blind. I went blind when I was 39 years old. So I went blind when I was 38. I went blind when I was 39. I lived on the streets of Philadelphia because I didn't want to live. I told God, somebody can kill me. But I believed in my faith. You don't kill yourself, because then that's not appreciating the fact that you had life and you won't get to heaven. So I grew up with that. So after being on the streets for that long, and then becoming frostbitten, and I thought I was going to be crippled. I mean, not be able to watch. Oh Lord, I thought blindness was it, but instead blindness and being crippled. That's what scared me. When the guy talked to me, I said, "Okay, I'll try it." Then when I was able to walk again, and things started happening. That's what kept me strong about trying to learn how to live blind. And maybe find a quality of life that I would find joy in, the joy of living and aging with blindness, and feel like a complete human being. So like I said, after that, then I went through the VA, the blind rehab, then they gave me a little computer training there, because I gave me a reading computer so that I could put mail on or read mail. And then I went to Bath, New York for vocational and occupational rehab, and I learned Braille. Then they brought me back. So now we're up to 98. I'm living by myself, right? And I meet my family again. And, the VA people say, no, he is blind. So then they say, well, we didn't realize you were blind. And yet nobody knows why I'm blind. Okay, I'm going to get to the point where I'm blind. They didn't find out why I was blind until 2000. Okay, I'm going to tell you about that. So I meet my wife. Okay, you're really blind. I don't know.
Oh, so she becomes your wife later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we get married. I'd like to still be a dad or a father or something because, to the children, So she has 2 other children other than the twins we have, right? So as she gets to learn about me and I start going to college, community college and everything, and she goes to the VA with me and she says, okay, you're pretty close to the guy I knew before you started talking about you were blind. You're productive, all that kind of stuff, right? So we decided to get married. She accepted my proposal. Okay. So we got married in 1999, right? I was going to community college.
That's beautiful.
Right. I was going to community college. First semester in community college, I failed everything except for sociology. I got a C in sociology and
Well, how much do you think that was just because you were blind?
A lot, because I didn't know how to do classes, and there was a full, and they gave me a full schedule, 4 classes.
That's a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah, so
people fail out of college all the time, and
it's hard to find the rooms.
They're not blind.
So the next semester, I told my VS, listen, man, I can't do this. I'm blind. I can't. No, we didn't give you lessons on how to use the computer to read and actually take college courses. They sent me back to West Haven, Connecticut.
Well, now it's like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Clearly, yes, I know now. Thank you.
So it wasn't my fault. Yeah. So we're moving fast, and even the professionals guy in your life, they don't, they forget. Okay, I've come a long way, but I'm not ready for this. So, blessed enough, they sent me back to West Haven, and I learned how to make notes, and use the full computer, then make my notes in Braille, then read them off, then come to class and all that kind of stuff. But I brought down to 2 classes per semester, made it much easier. Yeah. So we got married in '99, and then she would help me with my classes, put them on my reading computer, my books on reading computer. Right. 2000, June 23rd, 2000, I was in the room with my daughter, right? And, they just got finished giving her feeding tube, and I just got finished holding her, and she wasn't saying nothing, but her body was still warm, so I laid her down, went downstairs, right? The nurse comes in, my daughter goes upstairs, and then the nurse comes in, she had a nurse would come and see her, and they start yelling, right? And I go upstairs because she's in our bedroom. She sleeps in we had a hospital bed and bedroom, and my daughter's dead. I said, but I was just there with her. Man, that hurt my heart so bad. I couldn't even see my mother. I don't know if she had been, but it's hard to explain, man. That was so painful. And I hold on to that because I'm saying to myself, if I could have seen, maybe I could have saved my daughter's life. Because she was alive that morning when my wife put her feeding tube in, and I stayed up there with her, and I didn't know that. She couldn't talk or nothing. You had to see, when things were wrong with her. So she turned blue, and I didn't know that she was suffocating. Her body. I almost lost it.
Do you think that was the closest at that point in time? Was that was that more stressful than?
I don't know, because I was in a state of shock and walking around. I still went to school, right? But I still continued going to school, and I went back into the rehab, the drug and alcohol rehab program. I mean, outpatient. So I would go there 3 times a week. Right after class, I would go there and I would, I said, y'all don't understand what pain is. Y'all talking about you don't understand what pain is. Try, your daughter dying and you can't even see she dying and somebody tell you she did. Y'all don't know how much that hurts. Right? I mean, how worthless can a father be? I mean, it just, I started blaming myself. And my wife says, nothing you can do, you're blind. Now everybody says I'm blind, right? Life is cool, isn't it?
Life is funny too.
It is. I mean, that's what makes it so cruel.
I know.
Now y'all tell me I'm blind. I've been telling you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now she dies. It does something to my wife and I, right? But we still manage to, grow and everything. Still continue to go into college, go back to, the outpatient, so that I don't get high, right? And praying a lot. So I graduate college in 2005. I got my first degree in 2005. Right, after doing an internship at the Veterans Center and Ardmore Senior Center, it just worked out. And that same time I was graduating, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. Right, so you still don't feel nothing. So you say, okay, well then. I agreed to have the surgery because my wife said, listen, if you don't have it, you're going to die. We just got you back in our life and all like that, right? And I went to a couple of prostate cancer survivor meetings, and I didn't like what I heard from them guys that had the surgery. They talk about, well, we can't get an erection, you get hot flashes, all that kind of stuff. I said, I don't like what these guys are saying, But the doctors kept saying, well, it's... So I went ahead and had it. And everything I heard them guys saying, it just happened since they said, well, your nerves are down there. And so now, the only real joy I have left, 2 things, sex and eating. Right? Personal joy.
At that point in time.
Right. Now, the sex is gone because, and then diabetes hits me, right? I can't figure out what's wrong with me. But they take me in the hospital. They say, listen, your sugar is 600, right?
I don't know what should
normal is 70 to 120. That's your sugar reading, 70 to 120.
Okay.
Right? Mine was up to 600.
600
which
to
means
120?
600 is high. 600 is comatose.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Sounds like it.
Right? So they put me in the hospital and they slowly bring me down by giving me insulin intravenously and all that kind of stuff. They take my A1C and it says, you're diabetic. Your pancreas is no longer working 100%. It does a lot of other things, but it's just, what? No, this can't be happening, right? But it does. So now I'm really messed up. I didn't come back from all this stuff, right? I finished high school. I finished college. Got a associate's degree and working on another social certificate so that I can get a job. And now they tell me I'm a diabetic. And they said it was going to take us about 3 months to get your medication right. It took them 4 months. I would pass out. I said, God, you gotta be crazy. I mean,
yeah, right.
This is what I said, but God, you gotta be crazy. Nobody can live like this. I should have never had that operation for prostate cancer. Seriously, I beat myself up a lot about having that surgery.
Even now?
Even now, right? Because can't eat what I want to eat. If I do, I pay for it. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, I eat the food I like. Oh, man, you pay for it, right? Sometimes, and I mean, I know we're on camera, but we're adults here. Sometimes when it comes, I have hot flashes just like a woman, right? My testicles get hot all the time, and still can't get an erection. Nothing happens, but you feel like you want to.
Wow.
Drives you crazy, right? That's how much of a part your prostate gland has to do with a man being able to perform sexually. So, you know, now I got erectile dysfunction because still laughing, but it's real.
Yeah,
you know,
shit is real.
It's real.
Dude.
Okay. Yeah. And I was only 50, and still only 55, and my wife is 5 years younger than me. She's 50, right? So now what do you do here? You know, she still has needs.
Yeah, by the way, God bless your wife for... You guys must really love each other.
Yeah, I thank God for every day. I'm gonna take time right here and tell about my wife. I consider my wife a Proverbs 31 verse 10 to 30 wife. That's where it tells about the elect lady of God and what she does for her family and her home. You know, I wouldn't be able to power lift if it wasn't for her. Okay. She keeps us a beautiful home. You saw my home, right? She keeps it neat. She keeps it orderly. You know, she can't cook for me all the time, but when she can, she'll make a meal on the weekends and stuff like that, right? Now I have to understand. She works hard because she wants her home to be comfortable and have, you know, the luxury comforts of the day, air conditioning, you know, heat in the wintertime. Heating bills are high, you know, and like I said, I only get $500 a month from Social Security because I'm married. I was getting about $800 a month, and when we filed taxes and Social Security said, hey, listen, we're overpaying you because, you know, your wife is making $26,000 a year. So they took half my money. You know, but you're penalized because you're married, because Social Security or Social Disability is meant for people when they retire, right? So if I'm working and if I'm not working and my wife is making over the threshold, the minimum threshold, right? Then, you know, you get penalized, right? So, you know, I've been surviving off that, and that $11 a month or $14 a month they get raised, they give you each year, you know, to bring it up. That was another thing, you know. And after going to college and all this stuff wrong with me, I couldn't find a job, even though I went and applied with the state, you know, state for the blind and visual services for the state, right? By the time I was ready to work, I was like 59 years old, right? And I'm blind.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So you don't have many companies out there that deal with the state that are willing to hire somebody my age.
Sure.
Now, they don't tell you that, but, you know, when they say, well, we can't find
You'd be great at Vipassana meditation, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I gotta tell you, I wouldn't still be sober and have as much positive energy and faith in God if it wasn't for the wife that I have today. Okay. So, you know, I want to put that in there and let you know, hey, listen, she's faithful, right? She goes to work. I mean, you know, whether she's sick or just like, you know, just like the man would, just to provide. And she tells me it's going to be okay. Right?
What a rock, man.
Yeah, you know, I mean, she has her attitudes. Everybody get arguments and stuff like that, right? But when you bring it all down, I thank God for my wife. That's one of the blessings He's given to me that is powerful.
Yeah, man.
You know, and truly keeps me going. I'm doing so all this as a powerlifter and stuff, you know. So
now recently you've become, like, you start powerlifting.
Yeah.
But you started powerlifting like in the last 10 years.
Yeah. In 2009, I said 2005, prostate cancer, 2006, diabetes, and then I spent the next 2 years trying to deal with the sugar stuff and how it would make you feel and dealing with depression. So at that time I went to see a psychiatrist and I said I need help. So they gave me a psychiatrist and a psychologist for me to talk over my issues because feelings of depression and worthlessness was getting to me, even though I'm saying to myself, I'm gonna film my family one more time because what can I do? I done let my daughter die. I got all this wrong with me. I thought I could get a job if I got an education like people tell you, but you still can't. So what happened was United States Association of Blind Athletes that's based in the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, they bring blind veterans who want to come there every year to show them the different sports activities that blind people are involved in to help you, find a joy of living or just to have a hobby or something like that. That's a change in lifestyle or a new social group. So we went there for 8 days. I was crazy enough to go whitewater rafting.
Wow.
They included that. I mean, blind people do go whitewater. I said, y'all got. Once I got on the boat, I said, oh no. I mean, I'm holding on. They got the rope. What do you call that thing? The paddle attached inside the thing and a rope, right? And I'm in the front of the boat, and the guy's saying, right. So I'm on the right side. So I got, and the water's hitting me, and it's spinning. I let go of the paddle and just grabbed under the rope. I don't know. I can't tell you what whitewater rafting is all about, but it's the scariest thing in the world when you can't see that water coming at you and the boat is twisted.
The funniest thing? There was this thing on Netflix. What was it called? Bird Box or something? I don't know. There's this Netflix show that came out. I'm sure you've heard of Netflix and stuff. So there's this scene where Sandra Bullock, famous actress, she has to escape. She has to escape like a facility, but she's blindfolded and she can't get the blindfold off. And she's with other people that are blindfolded. Mm-hmm. She has to cross a river in a boat. Not realistic from your experience.
Yeah, well, once you get in there, you're going to do something, right?
Yeah, improvise.
And they give us this little, what do you call that thing? Life jacket to put on, right? They say we fall out, there's another boat with a motor behind us and it'll get us, right? But, so make a long story short, I did all that. When we got back when they got on land, I'm serious. I just laid down and put my head on the ground. I said, oh man, I'm not going through that again in life. Don't tell me nothing about canoeing or right? But I was amazed. Blind people do this stuff, Yeah. So only one thing that I liked, and that was bench press. They didn't have the full powerlifter meet for blind. They just had bench press. So I said, okay, well, I like bench pressing. Yeah. And we did a competition at Fort Carson. They drove us all the way there because the military was having a powerlifter meet. And us blind guys, we bench pressed, and they gave us little medals, for participating and all that kind of stuff. When I got back, I said, I'd like to try powerlifting. They said there was a lot involved in it, but GW and VA, they found Joe Braca of the underground gym in Flourtown, Pennsylvania. His gym participates with Villanova, with the suburban counties for Special Olympics each year. I think it's coming up soon, either this month or next month. And they not next month, October, and they handle that. So he said, "Well, I've never trained a blind person before, but bring them up, bring them up, and I'll try." So that was the beginning of what we know now. How I got there was GW would bring me up on Tuesdays once a week, and I would take paratransit there once a week. The reason for that was I couldn't afford paratransit twice a week. It's $4.25 each way, which is $8.50. Now you figure that's 17 hours a week. right? Which is $68 a month. From what I make, I can't afford to go there. So he would take me a week. And then some weeks Joe would pay for it, the gym would pay for it. They explained to them about what was going on. He says, listen, as long as you keep trying, we ain't gonna let you quit. We'll teach you how to power lift. The whole gym was determined that they were gonna help me. Even though, I was flat broke, right? And but these are all just working people, and the thing is, it's a social group. They power lift with men and women. Okay. After 8 months, I finally did a squat with weight on my back. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're 61 at this point?
No, 60.
Okay, you're still 60.
60. 59. In 2009 is when I went. I was 59. He started training me around October 2009. And then, around May or so, about the end of May, I was able to do a real squat, full squat with the weight on my back, and not tilt one way or the other, or back or forward, or not get stuck down the bottom. I just went down and had to, figured out what muscles to engage and everything. And that was the beginning. So next was, we had been squatting and bench press, and I learned how to get this hip. So then next was to learn how to deadlift. Right? Oh boy, how do you go over, not go over it? Balancing the weight and everything. The same thing went on. So in 2010,
is the deadlift? It seems more straightforward though.
Oh man, but it's your core. It's a lot.
No, I mean like the exercise is tough, but like it seems less daunting than a squat.
Oh, but it's not.
It's not. Is it more? Is it more difficult?
Well, now I've got to tell you something else that happened to me.
Okay.
After learning how to squat, I started having pains in my back and my left knee.
Okay.
Right. Went to the VA, did MRIs. I have degenerative arthritis in the 3 lower vertebrae of my back and in my knee. Degenerative arthritis, which means the bones grind together. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the doctors tried to tell me, you can't power lift. I said, nah, listen, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
Yeah.
They say, well, you're gonna hurt yourself. I say, well, listen, you give me something for the pain, but I'm gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
That's what made learning how to squat and deadlifting take so long, because as you're going down, there's a slight angle that the bones will grind together, and it like paralyzes you. You go, and then you continue and you come up, or you stop right there. Mentally, I had to get past. I had to understand what angle and at what position, those bones was those vertebrae were going to grind together, and I did. I kept concentrating. So you develop the core and the oblique muscles, and it's degenerative arthritis also runs in my family. I didn't know that until one of my uncles told me. My mom had it, hollow hernia, everything that ran in my family. Out of 6 sisters and 1 brother, I got it all.
I mean, you're so damn tough, man. It's almost like only you could handle this. It's just unbelievable.
Oh man, listen. I still don't believe it's me. Yes. People say what you're doing. I said, listen. I tell God all the time, God, you got me here, and you didn't let me kill myself, and you didn't let anybody kill me. But this journey ain't easy. No. This journey's not easy, right? And it seems like every time that I've gotten to the point that I can just make it, or just take a little step higher or a little step forward, I get knocked back a body length, a whole, like a 15-yard penalty, right?
Sometimes a lot more than a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, because everything that's happening is medical, right?
Yeah.
And yet I'm performing at my age. You know, whereas most people become sports figures between age 15 and 40. Here I am going into my 70s, and I want to go until I'm 80 or 85. You know, and I just need somebody who's willing to say, okay, you're worth investing in. You know, somebody to come and say, listen, what does it take?
Yeah, so talk about that. So talk about where you at now, because now you're sort of at this point where you're killing it, right? I mean, especially relatively to your peers.
Mm-hmm.
And so talk about the performance level you're at now, what you're trying to cultivate now, and what does that take?
Okay. First of all, it's taken all these years for me to really mentally be able to perform each lift.
9 years.
9 years, you know, with ease. Okay, I mean, it's taken this long to mentally, physically, skeletal-wise, muscle group-wise, integrate. I'm ready now. I'm a real professional. People say you always been a professional, but you know when an athlete reaches peak, where he knows he's in the shape he can do to.
How long have you been competing, by the way? How many years?
Since 2010. I had my first competition in 2010.
So you competed the first year?
Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah. I didn't lift much, you know, but coach wanted to get me into the.
Just get it moving.
Yeah, you know, he'll take your first meet. My first meet, you get 3 attempts at the squat, 3 attempts at the deadlift, 3 attempts at the bench press. Mm-hmm. So I only went 5 for 9, right? I missed 4 of the lifts, right? But at least.
Which ones did you miss?
Let's see. I made 2 squats, right? 2 squats, 2 deadlifts, and 1 bench press. You know, I was too far down, too far up, right? But yeah, but all that's to get you used to what it's like in competition. Mm-hmm. You know, and then people say, well, don't the judges give you a break? No, they don't give you no break just because you can't see. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
no break because you can't.
That
see.
Would be cheating.
Right. So where I'm at right now is, in the years that I've been doing this, I've met a lot of blind powerlifters, but we don't have a good national team because most of them are on a fixed income, right? So they can't afford to come to the National Blind Powerlifting Championships each year, let alone the World Games. Yeah. So I'm at the point now where I believe, or I know that if I can get the training in, right, and someone to sponsor me, or a company to give me a contract with them, like a brand name, whereas I don't have to worry about the $10,000 I need each year to compete and train and have proper food and nutrition for me and all that kind of stuff.
How big is the nutrition?
How
big is it?
It's a big part.
It's such a big part, man.
It's a big part, and I can't afford it.
What would you say? 60% of the return on investment comes from. Is it 60? Is it 70? Is it 50?
It's 60.
Yeah, right. Because more than half, right?
60. Yeah, 60%. I
mean, it's crazy how good shape that you'll be in, just even if you almost don't work out at all, but you eat fantastic. Yeah. You'll almost be an athlete, like. In a way, you know what I mean?
But you still gotta do something.
Yeah, you still gotta
get that rich oxygenated blood flow.
Yeah, no, don't listen to that shit. Like, work out all the time and eat well, but like if you can eat well, like it really
makes a difference in what your body, as long as you can give your body the nutrients and the vitamins that it needs. Mm-hmm. You know, because my diabetes is getting worse, they're giving me pills to protect my kidneys, mm-hmm. and I'm getting B12 shots and nutrient shots because. You know, when your diabetes means your blood thickens. It's full of sugar. Everything in your body converts into sugar, it gets in your bloodstream. So now all the little secondary and tertiary veins and arteries can't pull the nutrients out of it, or it can't flow through there as good as it could. And so you become, even though I'm like I am, the doctor orders nutritional supplements for me every 2 weeks in, shot form. Mm-hmm. The complete B complex, right? Yep. Folic acid and a couple other nutrients. Not because It's because I can't eat according to how I work out. Okay.
Right.
A lot of times, in order to make it through a workout, I carry glucose tablets. I have glucose tablets and peanut butter crackers just to make it through the workout, because I feel myself weakening, my sugar dropping, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to stay at a certain level of performance, and
it drops fast.
And it drops fast when it begins to drop. I mean, diabetes is the craziest disease, and I wouldn't wish that on nobody. But I'm an athlete, and I'm a darn good athlete. I'm one of, like to say, I'm one of the best in the world, and I'm gonna brag about that at
talk
my
about
age.
Talk about your weights. What you can do with movements.
When I set the world records when I was 62, right? I did a deadlift of 427 pounds, right?
This is the blind world records.
Yeah, the blind world records. At that age, the blind. I went to the blind world.
So you set the blind world record for the first time, second year in.
Yeah, 62.
The fuck?
Yeah,
that's crazy, dude.
Bench press, I did 302. Squat, I did 302. Yeah.
Is this all at 62?
At 62.
So you made 4 world records?
3 world records.
3 world records.
3 world records at 62.
Second year in.
Second year in.
Okay, so then what happened? Where do we go from there?
The next year, I equaled mine, but I beat my bench press record.
Okay.
So I've been either beating or equaling those records every year since then. Right. Last 2 years, I've been down because of the diabetes. Okay. This last year, when we went to the meet, my sugar began to drop after we always start out with the squat. After I did the squat, I did a squat of I forget the numbers, but it was less than 280, about 275 pounds to something like that. Squat was my third squat. Then I got weak, and I said, okay, coach, so we tried to do glucose, but once your sugar says, I'm acting crazy, you're acting crazy. So my bench was only 253 pounds, and my deadlift was only 341 pounds. And whenever my sugar starts to act up during a competition, there's nothing I can do.
Wow, there's really, so you can't make it bounce back fast enough because you're too much strain on your body.
Yeah, and the aging process, but like I said,
yeah.
I know, and like the doctors never tell you, if it wasn't for the fact that I can't afford to buy what I need, nutrition-wise, as far as food goes, on a daily basis, to rebuild back what I put into it.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah, because each year I go at least $1,000 in credit card debt trying to.
Just from food.
Yeah, and.
Well, God bless you, because there's a lot of people out there that go more than $1,000 in credit card debt, and it's not to take care of their damn bodies and try to eat well.
Yes, so
not
over the years, I'm a little over $10,000 in credit card debt. My wife is saying, "Listen, you got to start bringing that down, because if something happened to her, me, she don't want to. I don't want to have all that on her." But it would really make me feel really good about my life as somebody with a. I mean, I hear people do a lot of things, right? I hear them paying off people's mortgages, but these are all for sighted people, right? They had to show that they give people homes, right? Mm-hmm. They have.
Oprah gives cars to people, but give cars to blind people. How dare she?
Price is Right. What is some of them shows? They never have blind people on the shows.
That's a good point. I really can't think of a time, even like once.
They'll do students, right? They'll do Army. They'll do veterans.
Yeah.
Right? 2 weeks of stuff, newlyweds, but the blind population, we're not a lazy people. It's just that if I go to McDonald's and say, "Can I get a job?" They don't even, they don't even take me seriously. Mm. If you go, if it's 15-year-old goes and says, "Can I get a job?" Right? Because they got sight. The only thing that stops a blind person from getting out of poverty is the community or group of people won't get behind them to help them promote a business or to help them promote their lives. So we're like the invisible disability in our society. I mean, granted, I give the Paralympians or para-athletes their due. They miss limbs, but then these companies make limbs for them that are better than,
Sometimes,
but they still have sight to see what they're doing.
Right.
I mean, try to do what the blind athlete does. Even running. I tried running and almost jammed my knee. I'm just fielding track guys, right? It takes a special body control and mindset to know when you get down, not to jam your leg where it's coming. When you're, and yet, we're told blindness isn't a disability.
What? Blindness isn't a disability?
We're not part of the ADA Act.
Really?
Yeah, American Disability.
Okay, that's a bit ridiculous. Are deaf people part of the ADA?
Good question. I'm not for sure. But the only thing that they say you can do is put Braille up. Now here's how crazy that is. When you put Braille up, how are we supposed to...
How do you know where the Braille is?
How are we supposed to find the Braille? So I'm hoping in doing this interview, this podcast, that people will understand a little bit more about what blindness takes away from an individual. Whether it be, I'm not talking about people who are born blind, right? But people who once had sight and then you go blind, you have to learn how to live all over again. You lose all independence, and you lose a lot of hope. But the community itself keeps on trying, and technology comes up with talking computers and other things. But still, a company has to be willing to take a chance with a blind person, which a lot of times the screen readers, they can't have the top-notch computer security thing on it. Otherwise, it knocks the screen reader, that program out. So there are a lot of things that have to be done, but I'm hoping that people realize and take time and talk with a blind person. Take time and walk with them. Take time and I'm pretty sure there's some people so visually impaired that if they don't have glasses to put on, they're like blind.
Yeah, right? Actually, it would affect a lot of people.
Yeah, and
if that were the case.
Yeah, and there's many ways of being blind. You're born with something, and there are a lot of eye diseases out there. I just happen to have a nerve disease, and people can't readily look at me like they see somebody with retinitis pigmentosus or glaucoma or whatever those many eye diseases are, and say, "Oh, he's blind," but where they can see other people whose eyes are discolored right away. And we wear those glasses because they're protective lenses. I don't know when something's going to be in front of me. I mean, a limb could hit me in the eye, so you don't want to lose your eyes. So that's why we have the dark glasses on and the hats, right, to protect the upper part of our face. But yeah, I'm doing the impossible as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know how I'm doing it except that God keeps blessing me health-wise. Takes one thing away, but with everything that's wrong with me.
Well, your mental health is what's so strong.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you have that wonderful memory.
Okay.
Yeah, your recall has to be amazing as a blind person with the conceptual mappings and geography and stuff.
It is. Like I said, to walk down the street, to walk a couple of blocks, even though I'm blind, I use about 5 times more mental energy than a sighted person does.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information coming to me at every step. For instance, when I'll go to the Carousel House to work out, I'll take the bus, the 40 bus at 38th and Spruce. It'll let me off at Belmont and Parkside. Now I've got to navigate 2 blocks two long blocks with Belmont Avenue traffic, Parkside Avenue traffic, and those other big cross street traffics. Mm-hmm. So as I walk, I use what they call the grass line with my cane. Stay to where the grass line is, the grass and stop. Now as I'm walking, I got to worry about the dips in the street, right? Because a lot of broken pavements out there, and I have to hear traffic, right? So I hear traffic on my left and the traffic in front of me to let me know when I'm getting close to the corner, right? When I get to the corner, thank God they got those little things that in the street that my cane roughs across. You stop there, and then you listen for traffic so when you can cross the street. Some people, in such a busy rush to turn, they don't even let you cross the street. They blow the horn at you and turn in front of you. I mean, it's just dangerous out there. But you can't be afraid when you're blind. It's a very frightening experience.
Yeah, because in the beginning of our conversation, you had said heightened and frightened. You don't seem frightened anymore, but you seem like you're very aware about yourself and life. Like you're necessarily, as a blind person and wanting to do the things and accomplishing the things that you're doing, requires a level of self-awareness, body awareness, spatial awareness that I would dare I say for most sighted people is unheard of.
They would go crazy. I mean, ask anybody to take the 24-hour blindfold test. They won't do it. I mean, I'll tell you something that's very frightening and depressing about blindness. When I first went blind and stopped getting high, right? You would sleep, and that's the worst enemy in the world. Because when you aren't, your mind's not on drugs and ivory. When you sleep, you dream. Because your brain is trying to show you stuff you used to see, right? And the dream is so real. Like you can, I saw the first girlfriend I had that kissed. I mean, you see your first car. You're dreaming and you're somewhere and you wake up and there's nothing there.
Wow, I never thought of that.
Oh man, when your brain, you got all that in your memory. Recorded from the first day you had sight, from the time you was a teenager, when you had your first job, when you was in your airplane for the first time, and you looked down, you saw the clouds, and when you go to sleep, if you dream, if you're very relaxed and your brain decides, I'll show you what this used to look like. You aren't showing me this no more, and you get angry, but you can't stop it. It's part of you. And when that memory decides, or that part of the brain decides it wants to, show you something, it's there. Even when I'm walking down the streets, I can hear or smell certain things, and my brain will give me a picture or a little video. Remember you're sitting at the table eating this food. In the wintertime, food has its own level. It may find it hard to believe, but I used to go to the community and they had those trucks out there. You smell eggs here, you smell bacon here, you smell sausages here, you smell toasted corn muffins or cinnamon and raisin muffins, cinnamon, what do you call it? Danish, what do you call round things called? Bagels, cinnamon raisin. They each had their own level of attacking your nose. I mean, you're saying yourself, listen, body, I don't want to know all this. Why? Sure. And sighted, you don't hear. I mean, you don't get all those different scents. I mean, they can be digging the street up 3 blocks down. And you still hear the
So I wanted to ask, I read a little bit of these letters that you had written to your son.
Okay.
And I was just curious, like what inspired you to do it and what your process was like. Does he write letters? Has he written letters back?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that the reason I started doing it is because being blind, I was trying to figure out how I could interact with my son, since driving was out, playing sports was out, doing things that if I had sight I could normally do. So I came up with love letters from dad to son, because as I aged and became an adult male, went to the military and all that, the things that I learned, I said, these are things that my dad should have talked with me about. I would like to have somebody to mentor me like that. So I took the chance and explained to my son, I can't do things with you physically. However, I would like to write some letters to you to give you some experience as you age as a teenage adult into manhood, things you can think about and may help guide you along the way, and will give us an opportunity to understand that we can talk to each other as men about anything, which as long as we honor each other and understand there's God in our life.
Yeah, it's always such an interesting challenge, like how you communicate like wisdom to people, how you like somehow take all this stuff, anyone's experience in life, and try to turn it into advice that someone else can hear. Like you mentioned in the piece, like the difficulty of, kind of like turning book learning and combining with like practical knowledge. Like how do you take theory and practice and bring them together?
Yes, well, we've all been teenagers, and we know that our peer group and other people, they have a lot of advice and things for us to get into. So I just wanted to let my son know there is a transition that you're going to go through, the many hats you have to wear. You have to be a man of hygiene and fashion. You have to be a man of sexuality. You have to be a man of working. You have to education. All these hats that we wear when we get older that we didn't realize we had to wear. So what I gave him was, knowledge of an adult male 101, right? And it was up to him to grow into it. And amazingly enough, today, here he is, 32 years old, and we still have conversations and relate back to those letters because I have them on the computer. And he said, Dad, remember when we talked about this? And I feel as if that way I've been successful as far as convincing my son that, he can communicate with me about everything and have a positive aspect and honor me the way I honor him, and hope that he lives his dream, his life. Mm-hmm. Because there's no special book or map how to raise a child that they might be successful, or at least have a good life and not be angry with life and understand what family is. So it was difficult because I had to really think how I would like to be talked to as a teenage adult, talking to him as a teenage adult, not as a child.
Yeah.
So that's how the letters got like that. And if the wording got a little too out of his league, then we went to the dictionary.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I mean, the one thing I really enjoyed about the letters is two things. I remember I took him to the library. And I said, come on, son, we're going to the library. And I 12-year-old said, are you crazy, Dad? I'm not going to the library. I said, listen, son, you have a lot of fun at the library. So I took him to the main library. He took me. Okay. We caught the bus and we went there. And they have youth section down there. And when we went downstairs, the librarian told us where we had to go for him to get his library card. And he got down there and he said, Dad, they got a lot of girls down here. Right? So I laughed. I said, yes, son, what do you think the library was full of? Yeah. He says, I don't know. I said, listen, I'm going to sit here. Why don't you go find a book or so that we can read, and look around. So he was gone for about a half an hour. He came back with 2 books. And one book was on something we talked about. It was about thermodynamics, right, and absolute zero. And he came back with another book called Moon Bear. It was about Native Americans, right? I said, okay, we're going to take these out. He said, yeah, but I'm going to go over here to the computer station and lay around and play on the computer for a while. They had a computer. I don't know what they all have in there for the children. But I guess the main library has something because there are a lot of students that come there. But anyhow, he stayed down there for about another hour and a half. Came back, we took the books out. Right when we got home, my wife said, "What took y'all so long?" We both bust out laughing, because it was an experience that he didn't expect, and I didn't know what to expect. I just took a chance, because I knew they had the library down there. I knew teenage girls did go to the library too, right? And it became a winner, So that was one good experience. And the other one was we started reading a dictionary, and one Saturday a few of his friends came over to ask him could he go out. I says, "Why don't you tell them that we're reading a dictionary?" Right? He said, "Dad, they ain't gonna." I said, "Just ask them." So they came and said, "Hey, Mr. Charles, how you guys? What's going on, guys?" I said, "Listen, Andrew and I read the dictionary together every now and then. Would y'all like to come in and join?" Or he can quit and just going out, but we usually read it for about 45 minutes. They said, "Read the dictionary? Are you for real?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "That's neat." His friend said, "That's neat." Then he became real happy. So
Awesome.
it became a thing as every Saturday.
Wow. Wait, what letter were you guys reading that day?
We would pick any letter. That particular day, I think we were reading J.
Nice. It's a good letter.
Yeah, Jay. But we picked, so every Saturday over the summer, they would come over and they spend 2 hours going around reading the dictionary and helping each other pronounce the words. And they thought it was fun. And he thought it was going to be, but these are some of the things that I had to take a chance with.
Right,
yeah. In order to try to help him understand that I love you. And I like to do some things with you. But, when it comes to things that take eyes, you got to take control. I've had some good experiences with him. Thank God that, he honors me. He wants to get into businesses and things of that nature. So I'm happy. He's a family man and he's married. So
congrats, yeah.
So that's one thing I can say I'm pretty proud of myself that, he accepted me in that way. And his friends agreed with it, and they said, "Well, we don't have nobody to do this with us." So, it made you realize that those young men, they want to do things, but they don't have an adult figure to take time to do stuff. Yeah, So,
totally. It speaks to the importance of having role models, people who present a kind of ideal, show you ways things can be different.
Yeah, and each year, I wrote him different letters, and I gotta say this. We have 20 years of letters, okay? And in this day and age, one thing I learned from him and his friends is when I wrote him a letter about the man of hygiene and fashion, and that took about 7 pages because I had to explain to him, what type of clothes a man wears, how you go about looking for men's clothes. I even took him out shopping to a place where, they fit your clothes, pair of pants you go, but and these letters helped me to help him understand that there's more than just when your mother goes out and buys you clothes, she's small, medium, large. Whereas when you become an adult male in your teens, it's time he just starts in neck size, left size, waist size, shoes. The caliber of clothing that you wear is different. And for him, and I must say I'm very proud of him, when the guys will walk around with their pants down, one thing his mother said was, "I'm glad you took him to the men's store because he don't ever wear his pants down, he wears them up neat." I just took him places like Today's Man, right? And then it used to be pants corner and shirt corner, but I think they caught on fire. And he said, "Dad, these young guys, all young guys working here, and they're all dressed up." And so exposing them to stuff like that, is something that
expanding his mind.
It's one of the reasons why I believe that one day I should be able to put that together as a book and have it for, in this day and age where they have a lot of single female families, where women can get a better understanding of what it's like, what you need to raise a teenage son. Whereas the book would help guide them as far as things that a teenager male looks for. You know, I'm bored about academics and professions in life. I did a lot of different things, which I'll show you one day. But a lot of his friends come over and said, well, I wish I had somebody to read that. And one lady even came over and said, you should make a book out of that. But once again, these are the things that as a blind person I'm very proud of, the impact I've had on my son. You know, because he hasn't been in jail and he keeps working and he's married now and he has 3 children. And we still talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, in spite of my blindness, I can be very proud of the relationship that I was able to impact my son, which is great fear that I had. One of the fears I had, okay, what do I do as a dad?
Yeah.
That form of communication proved well. You know, I give him the written knowledge, then we actually went and did it, and now that he's out on his own, he started doing it for himself. This is his nature.
Yeah, wonderful pass down the letters, to his own kids.
Yes.
Someday.
I'm hoping he does, because we have them on a CD and on my computer.
They're like
did you dictate them
scrolls
when you wrote them, or?
No, I took time. I wrote every sentence. I take time to think. Writing the letters sometimes took me a week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you write and you think about it, you listen to them. I type pretty well. Like I told you, when we were blind, one of the first things they told us to do at the blind rehab was how to type.
Right. Yeah.
And the typewriter talked. So now my computer talks. And I would just take time and go over and think about what I did at that age, or what I may have dreamed about, and all that kind of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
so they weren't just 1, 2, 3.
Sure. Yeah.
Each letter took about a week because I had to figure out where I was at that age. And sometimes I compared that age to when I was 23 or 24, and when I went in the military.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of adults, I think, it after a certain point it starts to blur together. Everything that happened back then, sort of triangulate. Like, this is what a 15-year-old is going to go through versus a 17-year-old.
Versus something that just people go through, right?
Yeah. And this is something that they don't teach in school.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, you've got a lot of life lessons that you never get taught in school.
Yeah. And that's what our youth today need. It's up to us as men to try to do that, or maybe to have some sessions for youth, or even just, I say, take all these letters and put them in a book format and offer them to all these single female women out there that are angry because they don't have a male image for their children. They're trying to do it alone, for whatever reason it may be. Because women can raise women, but it really takes a man to give a young boy an understanding of what he should develop and mature into. That's my thoughts, and I'm happy that he accepted my letters. They didn't always accept them.
Yeah, I bet.
But he had enough thought about me. Okay, well, at least my dad's trying. I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
And what helped was 2 of his major friends. They wanted to start reading. He would tell them what him and I did. Would come over and read the letters and would ask questions. Well, how does a man do this? Or why do you do that? How do you have a bank account? Or what's the business?
Yeah. You can really tell it's working then.
Yeah, So that's what helped me to be a good dad. His friends needing, because they didn't have a dad in their life. They came from single mother homes and all that. They had dads, but they weren't living together there and all that.
Yeah, and you touch on the family structure a lot and how the different ways that you were raised affected you positively or adversely over the course of your life.
Like I said, my mother and father were married, but he really wasn't there. He went out, he worked, he brought the paycheck home, then he went on about his business. I was there, and if I had 3 or 4 conversations with him, that was a miracle, right? So and I always said to myself, if I ever have children or I get married, right, I'm gonna make sure that I have conversation with my son. because I missed it. You know, when I became 20 or 30, I said, oh man, you know, all they wanted me to do was to get grown enough to get a job and get on my own, right? But there's more to a family than that. Mm-hmm. There's more to, you know, the relationship, and that's what I missed. And I got an opportunity to give it to him, even though I wasn't a whole person. I don't consider blindness, you know, not being totally whole, because you miss so much. But at least I was blessed by God to have that opportunity. He brought me back from a lot of things. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy going blind and becoming homeless and a drug addict and not feeling as if you're worth anything and living on the streets and just giving up on life.
Well, we're glad you're here now, man. I mean, I think it's been 4 hours. Let's cap it here until next time.
Okay.
It's an awesome conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back.
All right.
Well, so before we go, though, like if someone's interested in reaching out or contributing to the effort, how can they find you?
Well, I have a GoFundMe account. So the name of the GoFundMe account is GoFundMe.com/blindgoldmedalist, right? And you can also put my email on this somewhere so they can email me, right? But that's how you would make donations to me. Or if you live in Philadelphia and you come down to, Rittenhouse Square? Rittenhouse Square on Saturdays. I'm down there passing out my flyers. So you come down and have a little conversation with me. Or you can go online. What's my YouTube? Charles? I have a community college made a YouTube channel for me called Charles King Blind Powerlifter, and they have the Fox 29 video of me carrying a USA flag in Seoul, South Korea in 2015 at the Olympiad Games for blind athletes. I was 65 then. So yes, I would very appreciate if you look me up on GoFundMe at GoFundMe.com/blindgoldmedalist. Thank you very much.
Cheers. That's a wrap.
Thank you.
Okay.
Arvoyarns.